we were supposed to do either it was a Thanksgiving or a Christmas at the Holly House, and it was going to be supposed to be this trailer park. They were looking for this trailer that had grass growing up, and it just looked like an abandoned trailer with lawnmowers sitting in the yard, cars up on bricks, blocks, cinder blocks, stuff like that. And that was going to be where we had this vignette. And it was a great idea. I think Ed was the one that came up with the idea. And we were going to have probably at least 15 people involved in this vignette. And it was going to be Christmas at the Hollies. And the whole concept of the idea was supposed to be where I get pissed off because somebody gives me a sweater again for Christmas, and I'm tired of getting sweaters for Christmas. And we basically all break out into this big fight and just tear the place up even worse than it's already torn up. But for whatever reason, it never happened. But I thought that would have been fun to do too. So, but it was fun working with Crash.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the 55 Live podcast here in conjunction with the WZWA Network. I am one of your co-hosts here tonight, Karlifornia in Fury. And at this time, I'd like to introduce my co-host, Mr. 55 Live, Jack Wallace. Jack, how are you doing this evening?
Doing pretty well, thank you. Very excited to have a very special guest here tonight on the 55 Live podcast. You want to introduce him, Carl?
I do, and Jack, I've been very nervous, as you've seen over the last 10 minutes.
Yes, shivering.
Shitting bricks, my friend.
I was having a great laugh for you.
Very excited to have this guest on here tonight. Former WWE Tag Team Champion, Hardcore Champion, and in my heart, in many fans' hearts, certainly a Hall of Famer, even in the heart of Daniel Puder, who felt a knife-edge chopped likes that I've never seen or heard before from this man in the Royal Rumble. I'm talking about the one and only Hardcore Bob Holly. How you going, Bob?
Hey, guys. Thank you for having me on your show. Appreciate it.
Absolute pleasure to have you, man. What was wrestling to your childhood?
Oh, wrestling was everything. It was everything. I was born in California, and so came up with this. I saw this thing on TV on Saturday morning. It was roller derby, and that's actually how I fell in love with professional wrestling, because roller derby came on every Saturday morning in LA, and so I would watch it religiously because I liked the action, I liked the physicality of it. And then when my parents decided to move to Oregon, when we went north, then all of a sudden there was this thing called professional wrestling on TV. And I fell in love with professional wrestling. That was, I think, when I was 9 years old, something like that. And so from that point on, that's all I wanted to do. That's all I dreamed of, was being a professional wrestler.
Now, before being a wrestler, you were a mechanic and also boxing in bars, I believe. What was the experience doing that for you, sort of in your early years, growing up into being a young adult?
Well, obviously, trying to make ends meet at a young age was pretty difficult. So this buddy of mine that I worked with said, hey, there's these tough man contests they have at the bar every week. And I was like, well, I'll give it a shot. So that's what I did. I made extra money, made $50 to $100 here and there. I mean, it wasn't much, but it helped pay the bills. And so I always had this infinite love for just physicality, anything physical. I just endured. I just loved doing that. And that helped me progress along the way to professional wrestling. And whenever I found out there was a professional wrestling school in Pensacola, Florida, then the rest was history.
Talk to me about training.
Border Street Arena. It was Border Street Arena in Pensacola, Florida. I'll never forget that place. You talk about hot during the summer, no air conditioning, humid. Of course, the South is very humid as it is. And during the summer, it's 92, 93 degrees with 88% humidity. So it makes for a fun time in that little building.
I love that sort of everyone we've spoken to so far has always had a special building that they've mentioned, and I'm glad 3 minutes and we managed to get yours out the way so far.
Yeah, Border Street Arena.
Awesome. How was training for you? Who trained you?
Bob Sweetan and Rip Tyler. A couple of old school guys that were very, very rough. They scared the ever-living piss out of me on a daily basis every time. Because I would work a full-time job. I'd work 8-10 hours a day. And then I would go after that, after work, I would drive to Pensacola, which is to get to the arena, Border Street Arena was probably 45 minutes maybe.
Yep.
So, and then I would train for 3.5 hours, something like that, and then drive back home, get up early the next morning, do it all over again, go to work for 8 hours, and then head across to Pensacola.
Awesome. It sounds like a lot of rough times, especially back in those days.
Oh, it
training
was.
A lot of old school guys.
Because the thing is with like guys like Bob Sweetan and Rip Tyler, they protected the business. And so they would, probably the first week, they just really tore your ass up. They would stretch you on a daily basis, and they wanted to see if you came back. And obviously I came back every week. I mean, I had my ass handed to me several times. It was a good time, though. I survived, obviously.
Do you have any sort of notable trainees that you trained with at the school or under their wing?
Pat Rose, he was one of the main trainers there. And Pat was always really good. And him and I developed a good relationship. Him and I also went to Memphis together as a tag team. And so, but Pat was, I thought Pat was a very excellent trainer.
That's awesome, man. When you moved into your early career, you sort of teaming with Robert Gibson at one point. How was that experience for you? Because obviously he was huge back in the day.
Yeah.
How was that experience for you, sort of having him sort of take you under his wing at such an early point in your career?
It was surreal because I used to watch him on TV as a wrestling fan, and it was just one of those pinch me moments where I couldn't believe I was with this guy, you know, side by side with him. And it was very beneficial to me because it taught me wrestling psychology, which I lacked. And so being with him was, I think, very beneficial to my career, simply because I learned so much from him and the ins and outs, the locker room etiquette, everything from him, a lot of stuff from him. And so I felt like that I was very fortunate to have him show me, because back in those days back there, it was very hard to get anybody to take you in. Yeah. And I was very lucky in that aspect for him to take me in.
I wanted to go take a bit of a sidebar here. You've got a bit of a passion for NASCAR, or a huge passion, some may say. And there was it also ties into your first WWF gimmick, which is the spark plug gimmick. Sort of talk to me about your passion for NASCAR. Has this always been a thing that's been a part of your life as well as wrestling?
Yep. I've always loved racing as a kid also. And racing is very expensive. And I just thought that that's something I would never have the opportunity to do. And so I had pretty much, it was after my Smoky Mountain days, I just completely gave up on wrestling. And a buddy of mine, he raced, and he said, "Hey, I know where we can get a car and we can start building." And I'm like, "Cool." And he was a plumber. So I was working paycheck to paycheck back then. And he said, "You could work for me on weekends to help pay the bills on the race car. I'll buy the equipment. You just pay me back by working it off." I was like, "Cool, sure." And so I did that. And once we built my first race car. Like I said, I've never, that was my first opportunity to be in a race car. And so we got the thing built, and on Thursdays they have open practice at the tracks. So I took my car down there. We all loaded it up, took it down there, and I was shaking it down, warming it up, and got going. The very first lap, the transmission seized up. Well, it just shows you how smart I was. I forgot to put gear oil in the transmission. So basically that ended my practice session, getting used to the car, and getting ready to race on Saturday night, because this is Thursday. The race is in 2 days. And so we took the car back to the shop, got a transmission. The guy actually donated a transmission, which was nice. Laverne Fairlett donated the transmission for me. And so we got it back in. And mind you, I have no laps, no seat time in that race car. And so I went out to practice, and we get like 10 minutes of practice. So I go out there. I'm a nervous wreck. Anyway, fast forward to the heat race. The heat race basically essentially is you have your fastest qualifiers, and then you have the rest of there was like 28 cars that night. And so they split the field into heat races to determine your starting position in the feature. And so I got going in the heat race, and I made my way up to second place, and I thought, oh, this is so great. As I was coming off of turn 2, we had like 2 laps left, and I caught the leader of the heat race. I caught him. Well, at Mobile International Speedway, on the back straightaway, there is no wall back there. It's asphalt, and it's the back straightaway has a slight banking to it, and then it just planes off with where the dirt and grass is. And I got my right side rear tire coming off of 2 into that dirt. And buddy, that thing went sideways on me, shot straight across the track, basically went for a ride in that thing and just about destroyed that thing. There was a telephone pole. They have a big mound of dirt to protect that pole. So if a car hits it, all you're going to do is hit that mound of dirt. If I'd have hit that mound of dirt, it would have wadded that car up, and my racing days would have been completely over, because there was no way I could afford to build another car. So anyway, the car was fine. And so I ended up finishing last in the heat race. And then the feature, I can't remember where I started, but I ended up 4th in my very first feature race out of 28 cars. And I didn't think that was too bad. And the funny part about this is, one of the guys that was helping us when we were building the car, he told me, he said, Bob, he said, don't even go out. Don't even think about winning a race for the next 2 years. Just go out there, learn how to drive, and that's it. Just to have fun. And I thought, okay, cool. Well, the following weekend, I went out and I won my first race. I won the heat race and the feature. And so I went back in the pits and told him, I said, I thought you said I wouldn't win my first race for at least 2 years. And that didn't sit too well with him. Needless to say, he went on to build a race car. He didn't have anything to do with me after that, because I guess jealousy set in. So then he went and built a race car. His name was David Jones, and he could never beat me. And so after I had won my first race, if I didn't win, I finished second. The following weekend, I would win. I won 7 races that year, and I only started half the season. And then the following year, I ended up being track champion.
It's not a bad effort. Not a bad effort.
No. Yeah, that's the way.
Did pretty well. And then, yeah, right. And then, so WWE, I got a phone call from WWE, and with that whole deal there, because of my racing background, J.J. Dillon thought it would be a good idea to give me that name. And so, of course, I'm not going to say no. Nobody's going to say no to WWE, WWF back then. And so once I started making a little bit more money, I built another race car, and I just raced that on my days off, which were few and far between. I actually had the car built up in Virginia, South Boston, Virginia, A&E race cars, and Hermie Sadler and I became good friends. His brother Elliot ran in NASCAR and Cup Series for years. And so on off weekends, every once in a while, I'd get off. I'd go up north and race up there in the Carolinas and stuff in Virginia. So I just absolutely love racing. If I could do it right now, I'd do it in a heartbeat, but it's just so expensive, so expensive. You got to have sponsors and everything else. And it takes a lot to operate a team. And you have to have good people around you. And that's the thing. Like when I first started racing, I had really good people around me that knew everything about race cars and knew how to set them up. I didn't know anything. All I knew was just get in there and drive.
Yep.
I didn't know what loose was. I didn't know what pushing was. I didn't know what cross weight was. I didn't know what right and left side percentage was. I just went out there and drove, and I'd come in, they'd ask me, how's the car? I'd be like, seemed fine to me, when it was loose as hell or if it was pushing like a dump truck, but I still won.
Yeah.
So, and then it to be good in a race car, you could be the best driver in the world, but if you don't have a good team, good support system around you, you're not going to do worth a damn.
Of course. It's sort of like speaking an entirely different language. You're saying you don't know anything about, all those things you just listed there. When you're selling that back to me, if I try to sit in a race car, all I can think of is get in and drive. That's crazy how much is actually involved in racing.
Oh, it is.
Like, that's
nuts. And I've learned so much over the years about racing. I understand every aspect about a race car now. And it's like, if I could just get back in a race car, understanding every aspect of it, I mean, I did well, but I think I would do just that much better now that I do understand every aspect. Tire pressures, everything. I mean, everything affects that race car. Even a small adjustment to the front sway bar determines whether you're going to be tight or pushing or loose or whatever. So, and just even half a pound of tire pressure affects that race car like you would not believe. It's just crazy. Plus the elements, the temperature, whether it's hot or cold. If the asphalt's hot, then it's going to be slick. If it's a cool night, you're going to have tons of grip. So there's just so much to it. But being inside that race car, inches away from other cars, there's nothing like it in the world. Nothing.
You did a brief stint in the All Pro Series. Did you still have the car that Vince gifted you, the WWF sponsored car? Do you still own that?
Oh no, that thing's that would have been so outdated. After I ran it for a couple of years, I sold everything because cars like that, they get outdated. Everything changes.
Right.
It's like computers. All that computer stuff changes every day.
Yep.
Race cars technology changes every single day. And so you could strip it down and start with the bare bones chassis and do a lot of upgrades to the front end and the crossway, everything to it. And the way they make everything now, those race cars handle like go-karts. It's crazy.
Cool.
All right. So I guess you've been driving in the WWF sponsored car. Are you wrestling at the same time as doing the racing, or does that come later on? Do you end up doing racing and wrestling?
No, I was doing both, and it was very exhausting.
That would be insane.
Oh, it was crazy because we'd be on the road 3-4 weeks at a time, and then I would have to plan these race weekends ahead of time with Vince to get off to go race. And so what was happening was I'd fly home, we'd load up the race car, and mind you, I had a guy working on it for me in my shop. That was his main job, is to keep the car up. And it got to the point where every time we would load up and go to the track, we were actually working on the car at the track, because with me being gone, I didn't have enough time to work on the race car and get the things that I needed to perform at a high level. And so it just got to be very difficult, and I had to make a decision whether I wanted to keep racing or wrestling. And also that was at a time when Vince was sponsoring me, and he was going through that steroid trial too. Yeah. So the funding there kind of fell off also. And that's when he had called me and he gifted me the race car and all the equipment and everything.
And so he would have brought you to TV. Well, were you on TV at that time? But now you're going to be full-time wrestling. The car's now in the background.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah. I was still wrestling full-time, but and racing maybe once a month.
Right.
Or it started out every weekend that they were sending me home, and it was exhausting because I'd fly home and then load up the car, everything, the trailer, everything, and drive 7-8 hours to the next race, and then turn around, drive back home after the race, hop on a plane and fly out to whatever city we were doing our shows at. And so it was too much. It was just too much.
I can imagine.
Yeah, it was
so
rough.
You go through the new generation era of the WWF, Sparky plug. There's also a time when you're in the new Midnight Express. That doesn't end up going too long, but soon after that's all over, you end up being in this group known as the Job Squad, which is the shirt that I'm wearing right now.
Yeah, nice shirt, by the way.
We spoke to Al Snow last week, and we talked to him about the Job Squad and the run that group had. When you found out you were going to be in a group called the Job Squad, what was your initial reaction?
Oh, I was glad. I was happy because it was like, finally, they're going to put me in something and do something with me.
Yeah. That's what I was thinking.
And it's like, the thing is, it's like, you just want to be involved in something, because if you're not involved in anything, it's actually boring.
Yeah.
Because it's not any fun just going out there and just being a utility guy and going out there and putting guys over. And because you don't make any money doing that, because you're not in any pay-per-views, you're not in any angles or anything like that, or any storylines. And so it made it tough. And Russo, I think it was Russo and Al actually came up with the Job Squad and went to Russo with it, I think, if I'm not mistaken. That's how it went down. And Al can correct me on that, but I know Al came up with the idea.
Yeah.
And so they came to me and said, hey, we want you part of the Job Squad. And I was like, hell yeah. Why not? So, and I enjoyed it. It was fun. It was really fun getting to do, silly things and stuff.
Did you see it as an opportunity? You're going to be put in this group with these guys where they weren't doing much, like Scorpio, etc. You see this as an opportunity. Okay, now I'm on TV. Now I'm doing something. I could possibly be the breakout star from this group by showing what I've got. And this is how I'm going to be able to come out of this group when it eventually ends.
Yeah, and it's funny because I never thought of it like that, because I was just basically, as they say, you get lost in the shuffle. So I was lost in the shuffle. I actually still didn't know who I really was as far as character-wise, because the race car gimmick, yes, I was a legit race car driver, but I was not happy being that character, because Vince wanted me, this race car character, just this happy-go-lucky guy. And in racing, it's not like that. Your mood is a roller coaster in racing, because 1 week you could win, 1 week, the next week you destroy your race car. You're on top of the world 1 week, the next week you're at the bottom.
Yeah.
And so it's an emotional roller coaster. And also, you may win, and if you don't win the next week and you finish 10th or whatever, your car is not performing as you would want it to, because you went the wrong direction with adjustments and stuff like that. That race car dictates your mood. If the race car is running good, then you're looking forward to the race. And if it's not running good and not handling properly, you just basically just try to get through the race so you can move on to the next week and fix whatever was wrong with it. So I was lost in the shuffle, essentially. And with that character, with the Vince wanting this character to be a happy-go-lucky guy, race car driver, and it's that's just not the way it is in racing. And so when we decided to go the different direction with the character, and when I asked Vince if we could just drop the name and I could just be Bob Holly, that's when I just kind of got lost in the shuffle, and I was trying to find myself in wrestling. Where do I belong in this massive company as a wrestler? I have to try to find my fit somewhere. And that takes time. And actually, I credit Vince, because he's the one that came up with the name because of how rough I was. And then when they came up with the hardcore gimmick, it was a perfect fit for me, because I just like physical things. And with the Job Squad, getting back to your question, with the Job Squad, I never thought of it as an opportunity to be a breakout star, to use this opportunity to get myself over. Yes, it's every man for himself in the wrestling business. But also, I wanted to be loyal to Al because he put this thing together, and I wanted it to work for all of us. Because Scorpio, Blue Meanie, myself, Al, I liked everybody that was involved in it. And we all got along fantastic. And that was the beauty of that gimmick. And we always bounced ideas off of each other. Al was the brain trust of the whole thing anyways. And Al always has such great ideas. I've learned a lot from Al. I mean, a ton from Al. And I just never thought of the Job Squad as a platform to break away from these guys.
Right,
I was living in the moment with them, and whatever happens, happens. And
right
so,
on.
and so whenever, it's like, because I mean, the wrestling business, you're supposed to be selfish, and I didn't feel like I was selfish. And the reason being is because I thought of us, all four of us, as a group, a team that I wanted to stay loyal to, and I didn't want to be like, hey, this is going to be about me before it's over with. I didn't think like that at all. I just wanted to ride the wave, and then wherever it goes from there, that's where it goes.
Yeah.
Fair enough.
By the way, we spoke to Al last week, and he did said to say that he misses you and he loves you.
Oh, okay. Well, I miss Al and I love him. I don't get to see him that much, but Al's been a huge contributor to me learning a lot of things and learning what to do and what not to do and stuff like that. And where to put things, and I'm forever grateful to him.
Oh, he
Absolutely.
is.
He's a mastermind in the
Exactly.
wrestling business.
Exactly what I was about to say, man. He blew my mind last week, man.
If you look, he's an encyclopedia of wrestling. Is what he is. If anybody, you want to learn anything, you just ask him. Seriously, I kid you not.
Oh, I believe him.
Once the Job Squad was over and done with, you ended up feuding with Al over the Hardcore Championship, which ended up some of the most entertaining matches in the history of that championship. What was it like feuding with Al? And he was telling us last week about how you almost legitimately drowned him in the Mississippi River.
Oh, I was trying to drown him. That's because it was Al. I mean, I have to do that to him. It's funny because we always abused each other. And I think I abused him more than he abused me. And I always got a kick because of Al's reactions are always priceless. I was always trying to get a reaction out of him. And that's why I always did the things I did to him, because I knew I can get a priceless reaction out of him. People always say that I was rough on other people and stuff, but Al took the brunt of a lot of things that I did on purpose to him. And it's just his reactions in the back were priceless. And me thinking about drowning him, that makes me want to laugh, because that is true. I was like, I'm just going to try to drown this bastard. I mean, not literally, but, I just wanted to make him drink the river a little bit.
Fantastic. I wanted to move on a little bit forward with the run that I believe, in my opinion, is the best run that I saw you have as the Big Shot. I thought this gimmick was, this is you. You were getting 100%. Over so well with the audience. You were connecting with the audience so well. And this Bob Holly character really actually believed he was as big as Viscera and the Big Show and Kane and the Undertaker. And it was getting such great reactions that you seemed to be in the main event storyline for at least a month, maybe a month and a half.
Yeah.
Getting chokeslammed by Kane over and over again. I mean, Ed Ferrara and Vince Russo, and I know Ed Ferrara said something really nice about you and how he loved working with you and he loved the Big Shot storyline. Tell me about how, did you feel like you really found yourself with that gimmick and that story?
Oh, 100%. I had so much fun doing that. And see, that's the key. if you have a blast doing what you're doing, it's going to come off so effortless and so believable. And the audience, those people hated me so bad. I made them hate me so bad that every time Kane would choke slam me, that place would erupt. Like, he choke slammed me like, I think 4 or 5 times in one night. Like in that match we had, where I put my foot, I think it was, I put my foot over his chest to pin him. And then he grabbed, I straddled him, and I was like sticking my finger in his face, and he reached up and grabbed me. I think he choke slammed me like 5 or 6 times that night, right in a row. And every single time he grabbed me and threw me down, those people would erupt. And yeah, it hurt. Like after the third one, I was like, oh my God, I can't take this anymore. I was like, I can't take it anymore. And he's snickering under his mask. It's hilarious because he's laughing under his mask. You can't see him snickering. And he choke slams me, grabs me again, and he's even chuckling under his mask. And I'm like, oh no, not again, please don't. And he did it like 6 times, and he ragdolled me basically on that last one.
Oh no.
And yeah, so it was fun because I would go in the back like looking for Big Show, and it was just a blast to do, getting my ass handed to me. I know it sounds morbid, but I freaking enjoyed that more than anything I think I did there.
Oh.
And like you said, it got over.
Yeah.
And why they pulled the plug on it, I have no idea. That's one of those things you'll never know why. You'll never know why. And it was getting over. People loved it.
Yeah,
and they
it was
loved
great.
seeing me get my ass kicked.
I remember the day, the actual moment, seeing Kane choke slam me those 5 times as a kid, and I was, oh my God, he's never coming back from this. No one's ever been choke slammed repeatedly like this.
No.
And then you came back the next week and you went after him again. Never
That's
learned your lesson.
For punishment there. But yeah, the Big Shot gimmick, that was just the best. I thought I really enjoyed that, and it just was too short-lived.
Absolutely.
I think they could have got a lot of mileage out of it, but for whatever reason, which we'll never know why, they shut it down. I don't know.
Do you think maybe the reason might have been they saw Mike Lockwood and thought, oh, let's move Bob into the tag division. We've got this guy we can put with him. I wanted to kind of bring up you teaming with Crash Holly and, how that came about and what you thought of it. And
yeah. Also, and I enjoyed working with Ed Ferrara too. I loved him. He was awesome to work with. He was. And anyways, getting to Crash. I think we were in Milwaukee, and Bruce Pritchard had walked up to me and said, hey, by the way, you have a new cousin, Crash Holly. Like, oh, okay. Thanks for calling me and letting me know. I appreciate it. But anyway, I thought it worked well. I enjoyed it. I enjoyed working with Mike. He was a funny little bastard. He was tough too. He never complained. I'd hit him pretty damn hard, just because it's TV and it has to look believable. If we're supposed to really be this family that fights, it has to look believable. So I would literally just, I would punch him pretty hard, but in safe places, obviously. And I would ask him to do the same. And I felt like that was getting over too. We were supposed to do a, either it was a Thanksgiving or a Christmas at the Holly House. And it was going to be supposed to be this trailer park. They were looking for this trailer that had grass growing up, and it just looked like an abandoned trailer with lawnmowers sitting in the yard, cars up on bricks, blocks, cinder blocks, stuff like that. And that was going to be where we had this vignette. And it was a great idea. I think Ed was the one that came up with the idea. And we were going to have probably at least 15 people involved in this vignette. And it was going to be Christmas at the Hollies. And the whole concept of the idea was supposed to be where I get pissed off because somebody gives me a sweater again for Christmas, and I'm tired of getting sweaters for Christmas. And we basically all break out into this big fight and just tear the place up even worse than it's already torn up. But for whatever reason, it never happened. But I thought that would have been fun to do too. So, but it was fun working with Crash. It was fun. He was kind of a wild card anyway, because like he'd go out at night and things like that and cause a lot of problems. He had a lot of heat with the boys, right. And it was just a shame. He was a good hand too. He was good. He was good at his character. His deliveries were on point. Everything was on point with him. He was good, and it was just a shame what happened to him.
Yeah, I agree. And I'll say this, well, number one, I always laughed my ass off when you two, oh, here we go, the Collie cousins are fighting again.
Yep.
But I'd never really seen him, because you guys are always in tag matches and he was the smaller guy and you guys are always against bigger guys. So you never get to see him do his thing. But then I saw a match with him on Sunday Night Heat against Taka Michinoku. And I was like, holy shit, Crash Holly's fucking amazing. He's a fantastic wrestler. Yeah, really was astounded finally seeing him get to be in his element.
He could go. That's for damn sure.
Jack, I'll throw it back to you, bro.
What did Molly Holly add to the group in terms for you and Crash? Did she give you guys a lot more of a dynamic to work with in terms of the Holly cousins? It
did. It just kind of opened up other possibilities of storylines and so forth. I loved working with Nora. She is one of probably the best workers out there as far as female workers. You don't find a better worker than her. And I felt like they could have done a lot more with us.
Definitely.
But they just, for whatever reason, every time we would get something started, they would shut it down.
Bob, I wanted to fast forward a little bit to 2003, when you make your return to go after Brock Lesnar, and you're going for the WWE Championship at the Rumble. One thing I wanted to say was I listened to Bruce Pritchard's podcast, and he did an episode about you, I believe. And
yep, I love Bruce. Bruce is awesome.
He had said in it, oh yeah, no, this thing with Bob and Brock was kind of like, it was just going to be this one and done thing, and that was it. So I kind of felt like, to me as a fan, it felt a little bit unfair. Like, oh, why is Bob Holly's ultimate destination already predetermined? Maybe through this feud with Brock, you've got another main event guy in your hands. Because I remember seeing you return on SmackDown, and
yep.
I think you had jeans on, and you had, you were topless, and you looked like $1 million, and you looked like a real badass baby face. And I'm like, man, like, yeah. This really, I don't know, just for me personally, I really felt like you could have been up in the upper echelon for a bit longer than just,
yeah, and that's another one of those questions. You'll never know why. You just don't know why. And I liked working with Brock. I enjoyed it. And we got along great. But for whatever reason, it was just a one and done deal. And right after that, I sat on the sidelines. They didn't do anything with me. I was off for 13 months, and I come back. And then they start doing something with me, and we run this angle with Brock. And then as soon as we get to Philadelphia at Royal Rumble, it's over. And actually, the match was supposed to be at least 20 minutes. And by the time we got to Gorilla, it was cut down to 8 minutes.
That's bullshit.
Getting ready to go out. Yeah, exactly. So it was just, it's demoralizing. It's like, how are you supposed to feel? They want you, they don't want you. They want you to always have this positive outlook. But once you start getting like discouraged, they think you have an attitude problem. And it's like, and then they wonder why.
Yeah, exactly.
They start something and then they take it away, and they start something, take it away, start something, take it away. It starts to really resonate with you, and it just starts to really piss you off, and you can't get any answers. Everybody tap dances around the issue, and it's like, we're just trying to figure out a different direction to go. And you can never get a straight answer. And they basically tell you what you want to hear. And then you walk out of a meeting with them and it's like, wait a second, I just accomplished nothing. And so it just kind of really demoralizes you. And it's like, you know, fast forward to WrestleMania in Ford Field when I was supposed to work with Bobby Lashley. Mind you, I'd been working with him for several months on a nightly basis on house shows, everything. And even over in Afghanistan and Iraq, I was working with him. And we were supposed to go to Mania, the hair versus hair match, Vince versus Donald Trump. Right. And that was supposed to be me. And it wound up being Umaga. And so I almost walked out TV the next day. I almost walked out, but Dusty Rhodes talked me out of leaving. And I just had enough. Just had enough of this starting and stopping, and not getting any answers.
It's just unfair.
And life isn't fair. In the wrestling business, there's nothing fair in the wrestling business.
No.
You know, mind you, it doesn't matter how talented you are. Good, because they always talk about grab that brass ring. Well, there is no brass ring. It's an imaginary brass ring. There is no brass ring. It's what they want to do with who they want to do stuff with. I don't care how talented you are. You could be one of the worst wrestlers, and if they want to take and make you a world champion, that's exactly what they're going to do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The general consensus that I've seen over the years, and it seemed like as the years went by, more red tape appeared. And, you know, even if someone did get themselves over, like I believe you got yourself over again when you returned from your injury, I think you were grabbing that brass ring, but they were just pulling it away.
I was trying to. Take, for example, they always say, get yourself over and we'll do something with you.
Mm-hmm.
It's not up to us. It's up to you. It's not up to creative. It's up to you, the talent, to get yourself over. Okay. Case in point, Zack Ryder. Yeah. He went out and got over 1 million followers on social media, 1 million, and got himself over. And look what happened to him.
Exactly.
He did exactly what they asked him to do. Okay. Take Dolph Ziggler, for example. I think he is probably one of the most talented people on this planet that went out, got himself over, and what's he doing? He does mostly jobs.
Yeah.
He should have been world champion several times already. So that whole thing, go out there and get yourself over, is a bunch of bullshit.
Oh, no doubt.
It is. It's BS. Look, you're in a wrestling business that is not real. Like, the outcomes are not real. It's not. When I say not real, the bumps, the hits, the abuse our body takes is real, but there is no real stats.
Yeah.
So, because your future is based on somebody else telling you what you're going to do, what you are going to do, and what you aren't going to do. So, and that's why it's not recognized as a legit sport, wins and losses and all that stuff. But they tell you go out and because if it was based on that, nobody'd be doing it.
Yeah, of course.
Exactly.
You know, and the thing is, it's like Dolph Ziggler, he went out, several people, Ted DiBiase Jr., he went out, got himself over, and where's he at? He's sitting at home.
I haven't seen him in years. Sucks.
Yeah.
It's a shame.
So it's like, it's all what they want to do with you, basically. And who you're best friends with and so forth. And I don't have a problem with that. Just recognize that people go out there and do get themselves over and do what you say you're going to do. If they get themselves over, do something with them.
Yep.
Yep. Great.
So
there's a long list of, people out there that have spent so many years, 10, 20, 30 years, and being some of the best wrestlers in the world who were just never given a chance. And I just think that's
Oh yeah.
so unfair, man.
Yeah.
I feel
I
like,
mean, life's not fair, and that's just the wrestling business. Like, and that's the thing. It's like, if I didn't like it, I could have quit.
Yeah.
But I enjoyed the wrestling business. Yeah. I got frustrated a lot of times, but I still enjoyed what I did. And I always had this perception in my mind, just keep plugging away. My hard work's eventually going to pay off. And I've always had that mindset. Even though I'd get discouraged, I always had that mindset of just, you know what, keep pushing forward. Something's going to give. Something's going to give. And unfortunately, it never did. But, that's just the way it is. I'm not going to cry because I wasn't world champion or anything like that.
Well, you're a world champion in my heart, Bob.
Well, I appreciate that. Thank you. That means a lot. Thank you very much.
Back to you, Jack.
Sort of speaking of that time, you're just expressing to us then your frustration after having that push taken away in the brass ring, just being pulled and pulled and pulled away after being so close so many times. In the summer of 2006, the WWE, they did the second reunion show of ECW, sort of like a relaunch, and you were put into WWE ECW. What was your initial reaction to being put in there? Was it sort of like a breath of fresh air for you after so many years of frustration?
Again, it was another opportunity to once again go out and get myself over.
Of course.
And because they had so many guys sitting in the back not doing anything. And so when they decided to move forward with the ECW and make it part of one of their flagship programs under the umbrella of WWE, I thought, that's going to be an awesome opportunity for a bunch of people.
Of course.
And my thing is like, if we can all go out there and make it work and get over, then we all make a bunch of money together. So I just looked at it again as another opportunity. And I enjoyed being part of ECW banner. I really did. And I think one of my favorite matches of all time is the one I had with Rob Van Dam.
Yeah.
To me, that was
next.
Can I say something about that match? I just want to say this.
Yeah.
I remember when it happened, I remember people saying, that's right, Bob Holly's still fucking awesome. you just weren't given the chance to show it for so long, and it's like, oh shit, Bob Holly, yes, hardcore fucking Holly, yes.
Thank you. We told an awesome story, I thought, too.
Oh, it was
brilliant
match, bro.
It was just, and it's just one of those deals where the table just didn't do what it was supposed to do. I mean, live TV, shit goes wrong sometimes. That was one of the things.
I personally think it worked out so much better when you look back on it. I mean, God, I can imagine it, it's not so good on you, but the visual.
No, I was fine. I thought after it happened, I was like, what the hell is that? What's going on? It just it felt like somebody slapped me on my back like I had a sunburn when I was laying there. And I remember the referee saying, don't move, just stay right here. We're still in commercial break. I'll tell you when to move. And mind you, that damn commercial break was 4 or 5 minutes long. And I'm sitting there thinking, I cannot lay here this long. So I started to roll over. I rolled over on all fours, and I was thinking maybe just the table, the way I landed on it, just slapped me on my back. And so when I rolled over, and I was on all fours, and I looked down, I saw all this blood on my side, running down my side. I was like, what the hell happened? And then I look on the floor, and there's a big puddle of blood on the floor because I was laying on my back. I was like, holy shit, did I get shot? And anyways, so the whole time during the commercial break, the trainer came down, Dr. Rios came down and wanted to look at it and see if they were going to stop the match. And I remember the trainer coming down, looking at it, and said, just Dr. Rios is going to come look at it. And I was like, get away from me. And that's when I rolled back in the ring, and I wouldn't let him look at it. And then the angle I was at, I looked at the Titantron, and I saw this big gaping gash. And I was like, holy shit, I really did it good this time. And I thought, well, just might as well just roll with it. And I thought it just added to the dramatics of the match.
Yeah.
So it worked out like it should have, I guess. It just added to the match, I felt, as far as the drama and everything. And I feel like that was one of my best performances, and with Rob, and because I loved working with Rob.
Yeah.
Loved working with him.
RVD is an incredible talent, and of course that match is a hidden gem. And for anyone watching this that has not seen that match, go and look it up. It's
and it's funny too, because sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off.
Oh, go ahead.
But it's they popped when Rob beat me, and then once Dr. Rios, because they didn't want me to get up. The referee said just stay right here. They didn't want me getting up because they wanted to add to the dramatics of what happened. So they sent out Dr. Rios. They sent the trainer out. And when I stood up, I got a standing ovation. And I was like, wow, that is just so, I mean, it gave me goosebumps. And I thought that was just the coolest thing. And I appreciate those wrestling fans that did that. I mean, I appreciate all my wrestling fans. And it's funny because I get fan mail all the time. And I try to do the best I can to answer them as quickly as I can. Sometimes I can't. But for the most part, I try to answer everybody. And so, and it's funny too, because you wouldn't believe the amount of things people send for me to sign. Like I have time to sign every piece, every item. You times that by, 50 or 60 pieces of mail times 5 trading cards, 10 trading cards, action figures. I'm going to be there all day. And so it's got to the point now where I only sign one piece, and because I can't sit there all day and sign everything.
Of course.
But I do appreciate my wrestling fans.
That's awesome. That's really good, man. The standing ovation would have been the best feeling. And guess who got themselves over again? Bob Holly.
Yep. And where did that go? Nowhere.
Well, went to the Extreme Elimination Chamber, which was probably, a very forgettable show overall. But how was that experience for you? I mean, it's kind of that adds a bit of another element to the Elimination Chamber. But I mean, I guess being Sabu's replacement, being last minute, was that sort of a quick to prepare moment for you, or was that sort of something that you already?
I'm always ready to go. It doesn't matter. I'm always ready to go. I was always ready, and I was kind of surprised that I felt like I should have been in it to begin with.
Oh, definitely.
But it's just one of them deals where I always had this outlook of something's going to come along, so don't worry about it. And just keep doing me, just keep going out there and working the best I can and being the best Bob Holly, Hardcore Holly that I can. And they came to me and said, Sabu's not going to be in the show. We're going to put you in it. I was like, cool. Okay. No, it's not like I'm going to say no or anything. Again, it's another opportunity to try to get over.
Yeah.
So, and I was sore after that one, because that Elimination Chamber, those grates that they put down, they didn't move. You land on those things and it's just, they don't move. And people people understand why our bodies break down. And like now, it's like last year I had a rotator cuff surgery, and that I couldn't do anything for 6-8 months for my shoulder to heal. And actually this is July. It'll be next week. It'll be a year out from my surgery. So all this stuff compounds your injuries, all the abuse we put our bodies through. In that Elimination Chamber, that was a rough one. It's just rough, because landing on that grating outside the ring and stuff like that. And
it doesn't look fun.
It sounds.
No, I mean, it's fun when you're out there because your adrenaline's going, but then after you cool down, you start rethinking everything, and it's like, I don't know if that was such a good idea. So,
Carl, back to you.
All right, Bob, only a few more questions remaining. I wanted to ask you about your tag team with Cody Rhodes, because this is just my guess, my estimation. Okay.
I like the way you said that.
We want to We want to get this kid Cody Rhodes over, but it's not working so far. What can we do? Okay, Bob knows how to get himself over. Maybe he can help get this kid over. Okay, cool. Let's do that. Okay, he's done it. Okay, Cody turns on Bob. Okay, cool. Bob's done his job.
And Bob's gone.
That's bullshit.
It's so stupid. It's so stupid.
That's not fair. You did your job correctly, and that's all right.
Yeah.
After all those years, thanks for that. Thanks, you got Cody over.
Yep. And see, that's the thing. It's like, again, there is a storyline there, and to this day, we haven't closed that chapter.
Exactly.
And Cody had reached out to me, gosh, maybe a couple months ago. Longer. My wife says longer, but I'm terrible at time. Yeah, it was a few months ago. Had a few 4 or 5 months ago. However, I could look in my phone and see when he last texted me. I've been hit over. But if I looked at my phone, I could tell you when the last time he texted me, because I still have the message. But anyway, and asked me if I was interested in doing something with him at AEW, and I told him, yeah. And he first reached out to me on Twitter, sent me a private message, and then he sent me a text message. And well, at first when he sent me the message on Twitter, I DM'd him back and everything, and we talked. And because he wanted to, that's when he was doing independence and wanted to work a program with me all around the country doing independence, wherever.
Wow, that would have been awesome.
And yeah, that would have been fantastic. We'd have made some money together. And so I didn't hear anything from him. And then fast forward to AEW, he wanted to see if I was interested in coming in and doing a little something with him.
Oh, that'd be great.
Yeah, and then I hadn't heard back from him again. It's like,
damn it.
You know.
Never say never, man. Maybe it could be the whole pandemic issue. Maybe when all the crowds come back, maybe he wants to put you in front of a crowd.
That's when it's worth
right.
doing.
You just don't know. I'm still in great shape.
We just saw then.
I'm still ready to go, but I'm just not as big as I used to be. I'm still, I'm right around 200 pounds and I'm ripped. But the thing is, you got to understand, back then too, I was also all gassed to the gills, because back then, that if Hardcore Holly at 200 pounds wouldn't be Hardcore Holly like he was back in the day at 230, 235. So, but now I don't do any gas whatsoever, and I just work out. I just eat my ass off. But it's like, it's a mystery. It's like, where'd Cody go? He just ghosted me, So, but I keep up with AEW. I watch their program, and I think they have a great show.
They do.
Which is, the wrestling world needed another organization.
Yeah.
Because you got to have competition. You've got to. Competition's good. Because back during the Attitude Era, when we were going head to head with WCW, that's when wrestling was awesome. I mean, we were selling out arenas, 20,000 seat arenas on a nightly basis, 7 nights a week, 365 days a year for, a few years. And so, but I just think competition is healthy. WWE doesn't think so, but because the boys have leverage, and they don't like that. They don't like it when the boys have leverage, because they're not going to look out for their talent.
Of course.
Unless they're top guy that's bringing in millions of dollars, then they're going to look out for him. But I can understand that, but still, look out for everybody, because without the boys, you wouldn't have a TV show. So,
well, here's hoping that does end up happening when the crowds can come back one day. I would love to see that. I think I have a little bit of OCD, so when things aren't tied off properly, I can't handle it. That's why I haven't watched WWE in about 10 years. So
yeah, I have. What's funny? I don't even watch it. I don't even flip through the channels to see it.
No, I can't stand it.
It's like I don't. It's not that It's not that I'm disinterested. It's just I have no desire to watch it for whatever reason. I watch a lot of survival shows, like Alone on the History Channel is my ultimate favorite show.
Yeah. I was going to ask if you ended up getting anywhere with trying to get on that show.
Haven't got anywhere yet. I'm still trying.
I'll keep tagging them on Twitter.
I think I need to get an agent to get in touch with a damn producer of the History Channel or something. You guys want to be my agent?
Oh yeah.
But because it's like, because I go out. I haven't done it in a while, but I go out in the woods on my own, spend time out there by myself for several nights at a time, and I enjoy it. I enjoy that aspect of it. My wife doesn't mind that I go out there, and but she doesn't want to go out there because I just go out there with my backpack, and that's pretty much all I take. And
Right.
so, yeah, and so I mean, I take my bow, I take my gun, and if I can shoot a turkey or shoot something to eat, why not? So, what?
I don't care if you go because you're not picking up loose women.
That's true. I'm not picking up loose women in bars. I wouldn't go in a bar anyway because I don't drink. But hey, if I'm in the woods, there's no loose women to pick up on. So
Exactly right.
So, but I love going in the woods. I love these survival shows, and like I sit there and I watch Alone, and a lot of these people, like, I don't know if you know the concept of the show.
I've seen it. Yeah, I've seen one of
Oh,
the
you've seen it?
Yeah.
And so I think a lot of these guys, they get to missing their families because you're allowed to bring one picture, and they bring a picture of their family and their kids, and it's a mind thing.
All right.
Because once you're out there and you're hungry, your mind starts playing tricks on you. And so, and they'll be out there for 30, 35 days, and all of a sudden food's starting to dry up, or you're not catching fish like you used to, or just you're not getting anything. So they start getting hungry, and they'll start thinking about their family, thinking about their kids' birthdays, and some people just had a baby and they're all out there and everything. And then they'll look at this picture and it'll do them in, and they'll take that satellite phone and they'll call in and they'll quit. And because the prize is $500,000, you win $500,000. And like the one that's being played now, if you can make it 100 days, you win $1 million.
Whoa.
And so you have to at least last 100 days.
Shit.
And I think the longest so far that anybody's lasted was 86. It's 86 or 89. Don't hold me to that. It's one of those two. That's a long time to be out there surviving just off the land.
Of course. So
And
much.
what happens is they do medical checks once a week on everybody. And if you end up losing too much weight, then they pull you because it becomes, dangerous and so forth. So like one guy, I can't remember what season it was. I think it was season 2 or 3, if I'm not mistaken, but he had hoarded he caught a bunch of fish, smoked his fish, and he would not eat because he was afraid that he would run out of food. So he just didn't eat.
What?
Yeah. Right. And so they'd come to do the medical check, and he's lost too much weight. So they ended up pulling him, and the poor guy felt so bad for him. He started crying and everything. He's like, I'll start eating. Just let me stay. And it's like, once they make the decision to pull you, there's no turning back, so, but yeah, I want to get on that show, Something Terrible. And my wife always told me, she goes, if you get on that show and you start missing me and you come home because you miss me, she goes, you better find somewhere else to go, because you got to think of it like it's just temporary.
Yeah.
Like we're used to being gone. We're used to being traveling and so forth. And so, and plus she's military. So she's used to deploying and being gone for months at a time away from family. And so she has this mindset. Yeah, you can miss me, but you better not come home. And which, no offense, but I wouldn't come home. I'd stay out there until they carried me out in a body bag. So, Because my whole thing is, I know they wouldn't let me do it, but as soon as they drop you in the zone that they picked for you, I would take that satellite phone and throw it in the lake. Because they're always around. Yeah, because they always have a lake, so you have an avenue to catch fish and so forth. And I'd take that satellite phone and throw it in the lake. I know that I wouldn't technically do that, but that would be my thought process. So there would be no way I could get in touch with them to come get me.
Do you think you'd last the whole 100 days?
What's that?
Do you think you would last the whole 100 days?
Depends on how much food. I would damn sure try. I'm not going to sit here like a lot of people say, oh, I'm going to kill this. I can do this.
Yeah.
This is not a problem for me. This will be a piece of cake. And they end up tapping after a couple weeks or whatever. And it's like, you just made yourself look stupid. But I would go with the mindset, like, my intention is to stay 100 days.
Yep.
Barring any injuries, because if you get hurt, you just never know. And it depends if I can get food. And there's so many factors that determine you making the 100 days. And I would do my best at staying. They would have to medically tell me you're done. That's so.
Yeah.
To say that I would last 100 days, I don't know. I would damn sure try. But as long as I could keep getting food and so forth, and I didn't lose too much weight, then I know I could last 100 days. It just all depends on how much food you can catch.
Well, I'm gonna make it my new mission to keep hounding the show on your behalf.
Please do.
I'll make different email accounts. I'll come up with different personas, different names. This would be like the ultimate catfish kind of.
See, that's the thing, is because when I sent them an email, I usually don't tell people who I am. And I thought, you know what? Screw it. I'm going to let them know, because everything is based off of ratings.
Yeah.
And it's based off of ratings and how many sponsors they can get for commercials.
Yeah.
And so I figure, yeah, I'm not the most popular wrestler. Like Steve Austin is massively popular. Like they would probably take him in a New York Minute if that's what he was into. But I basically told him who I was in the email, in the application, and because they want to know your background and everything and what you do. And I told him basically, hey, 4 million people watch wrestling a week. It's one of the highest watched programs on television. And also the social media following, I think it's always number 3 or 4. They talk about football. I think it's football. There's a couple other things. And then there's wrestling. Wrestling is like really powerful on social media.
Yep.
So I basically told him about that, trying to sell myself to him, and that, hey, I know whether a lot of wrestling fans, whether they like me or hate me, they're going to tune in either to see me succeed, or the ones that don't like me, they're going to want to see me fail.
Yeah.
Which is win-win regardless, because they're tuning in. And that benefits the History Channel as far as ratings. And I tried to sell myself like on that deal on the ratings front too. And I sent them a survival video that I did when I went out in the woods. And so they had that in the can. But I guess, and then I got a email back from them saying, hey, we'd already picked the cast for season 6 or season 7, whatever. So, but maybe the next round we'll take a look at your application or whatever. So I did get a response back from them, but damn it, I want to get on that show. And if all the wrestling fans out there go on social media and hound History Channel to get me on that damn show, not saying I'm the best survivalist, but I study botany, I study all that. And so I've got experience being out in the woods, surviving and so forth. And I have all the survival gear. I've got all that stuff, and I've had it for years and years. And because I'm one of these, I wouldn't say prepper kind of guy, but when this whole COVID thing started, people used to make fun of me because I was kind of a prepper.
Yep.
I'd stock up on all this stuff. And one of the guys that used to kind of laugh at me, which is fine, because it's kind of laughable sometimes. And when I saw him next, he goes, "Yeah, now you're the smartest guy in the world." And he goes, "I feel like the dumbest because I didn't do anything to prepare for this COVID thing because they shut everything down and grocery stores were running out of stuff. And we had plenty of stuff. We got plenty of stuff. So, and plenty of toilet paper and all the toiletries that go along with it too. So, you know, we were in good shape if the country is still closed down. But anyway, so it's not a publicity stunt, me trying to get on the show. It's the real deal. I'm just trying. I want to get on the show because I am one of these kind of survivalist type of guys, you know, and like a lot of guys that get on the show, they do the videos. Like the land that I went on is a friend of mine. He owns 40 acres and he told me I can go out there anytime I want, stay as long as I want, build what I want. Doesn't matter. Just do what you want to do. And see a lot of these guys, they own their land and they go out and they make these videos and so forth. And I didn't think that they'd want a 2 or 3 hour video. But that's actually what they want. So my theory of thinking is I need to go make another video that's longer, because in the wrestling business, when independent wrestlers send their videos to the companies that they want to try to get a job with, they're not going to sit there and look at a 1 hour video or 1 hour wrestling match. They want to see 2 or 3 minutes and that's it, because they could see what they want in somebody within a few minutes. And my video is probably 15, 20 minutes long, and I just don't think it's long enough, so I need to go make another one. But anyway, so that's what I'm trying to do now, is trying to get on that damn show.
Well, best of luck with that, Bob. We're behind you 100%. We're going to help you.
You're going to help me?
We're going to help. We'll
Cool.
send some emails. I'm sure that will.
Please do.
We'll start a campaign for you, man, because I think it would be absolutely awesome seeing you in your element, even just talking about you. I mean, hearing you talk about your passion for survival and the outdoors, just seeing you in your element like that would just be fucking awesome, man. So
I'd tune in. I'd tune in.
Because when I sit there, I know we've gone over the hour, but I don't care. The thing is when I sit here and watch that show and I see these guys out there in complete solitude and just absolutely quiet, to me, I thrive on that. And it's like, oh my God, these guys that are on the show are the luckiest people in the world to be out there. Now, mind you, it's not because I want to get away from my wife, because we're together 24 hours a day and I don't want to be with anybody but her, you know? And so, and she's always behind me 100% what I want to do. She's my biggest supporter. Whatever I want to do, she'll support it no matter what. And I actually forgot what I was going with this, but anyway, watching that show and those guys out there in that complete solitude, and you hear nothing but maybe wind blowing. Am I boring you guys? You guys are
no.
Okay, but anyway, so, and I'm just like, gosh, what an opportunity for those guys, because how many people get to experience that? Not very many. And it's a privilege to be on that show, to be perfectly honest. And nothing pisses me off more when they get somebody, they spend all the money to fly them out, because they're out there 2 weeks prior to being dropped in the area that they're going to be in.
Right.
To learn all aspects of that country they're in, what they can hunt, what they can hunt, the laws of the land, essentially.
Yep.
And so they spend a lot of money on these people just to get them deployed out there. And so it really bothers me when, as soon as they drop them out there, reality sets into these guys and like, oh my God, I'm by myself. And see, they give you all the camera equipment, the video equipment and everything. You have to do all that yourself. and you constantly have to video yourself. So, but what bothers me is when they do that for these people, and then within one guy quit the very first day he was deployed.
Oh,
Yeah,
fuck's sake.
like that could have been somebody else's spot.
Could have been you.
It could have been me. Yes, exactly. There you go. And or somebody quits after a few days. I mean, some people get hurt, and I understand that they can't continue. Like one guy, he just blew his knee out, and he had to go. Yeah, he was walking, and he stepped wrong, carrying a log to build his shelter, and he kind of stepped off into this hole, and it just blew his knee out. And I really think that guy would have made it to the end. But, you know, stuff like that happens, and there's nothing you can do. It's out of your control. So, but like guys that just go on there and they just, oh gosh, this isn't for me. After a few days, I'm going to quit. And they quit, and it's just crazy. It's crazy.
Definitely going to get the latest season and watch that. I watched the season a few years ago when I saw you tweeting about it on Twitter. I watched it and I really enjoyed it, so I want to get back into it. And,
There's season 7. Season 7 is playing right now.
Right,
so I'm
cool.
not sure what time it comes on in your area, but it's on Thursday nights here. So, in fact, I have it recorded, so I'm probably going to watch it sometime tonight. So.
Cool. Before I get to a segment where which we call 5-Second Frenzy, I wanted to ask you about this one story because I've heard you tell it before, but I really love it. There's a rib that you play on Al Snow at a house show because Mick Foley lets you know that Al doesn't wear any underwear when he's wrestling.
Yep, that was in Montreal. Yep, middle of wintertime, Montreal. It's really cold. And see, we've been running this spot because we've been doing it every night in the house shows, and every time I'd get Al up in the suplex position and hold him there, the crowd would start laughing, and I'm like, what the fuck? Why is everybody laughing? And so after about a week of that going on, Mick Foley kind of come to me, and he stooged him off and said, hey, this is what he's doing. I'm like, oh, okay. Gotcha. He goes, do you know how you can get him back? He doesn't wear any under tights. I'm like, that's interesting. So I pretty much knew what he was basically saying. So we were in Montreal. It was cold in that building because it was hockey season. They had ice. Everything was, they set everything up over the ice.
Oh.
And so it was 20,000 people there. It was a house show. And so the spot came up because we were doing it every single night. Spot came up where I hook him, hold him up there forever, and got him up. And just as he got ready to do his thing to me, to embarrass me, I grabbed his tights and I pulled him over as I was holding him up and exposed him. And I turned him to every corner of the ring and exposed him and basically embarrassed him because it looked like a bunch of killdeer eggs in a nest. So, and shrinkage had taken place because it was ice cold in that building. Needless to say, he never did it again to me. So, but I credit Mick Foley for that idea because he's the one that, smartened me up. So, yeah.
I love that, man.
That's great.
Okay, so this second segment is called 5-Second Frenzy. This is what we ended on. So you have 5 seconds to answer every question. It's just quick fire kind of
Jesus
questions.
Christ, I don't even know if my brain can work that fast. You guys understand what I did for a living? You guys understand what it's like to get hit with a steel chair and not block the damn thing? Because I never blocked them, never. But anyway, go ahead.
Everybody so far has been able to do it. So
okay.
if you're unable to, then we might have a problem. But okay. First of all, favorite musical artist?
Kid Rock.
Cool. Favorite TV show? Alone, maybe?
Alone?
Yeah. Favorite film?
Favorite film? Oh gosh, the Italian one or the Irish one, To Kill an Irishman.
Right.
I think it's Kill an Irishman. Is that what it is? Kill an Irishman? Something like that.
Yeah, I know the one. Kill the Irishman? I don't know.
No, it's
the one where they say the prayer.
The Irish prayer. It's the.
Oh shit.
I don't know.
I know it.
Just talked about it the other day, me and my wife. What the hell?
In the name of the Son, the Father, and or something like
Yes.
that?
Saint.
The Saint.
The Saint.
Oh God.
Just look it up.
I'll look it up.
Look it up.
We'll look it up.
Okay.
I know what you're
But
talking
anyways,
about.
yeah, I would have answered it just like
That counts. That counts as an answer.
It counts.
Yeah.
It counts. Favorite match you've been in? Would it be RVD?
RVD. Yes,
Nice.
Who was your favorite opponent over the years?
had to have been Al.
Cool.
Simply because he always had so many great ideas, and he was just fun to work with. He took my abuse, basically. He took it. He took my abuse. Sometimes he would fight back. Well, no, he would fight back. Boondock Saints. That's it.
Oh, Boondock
There we go.
Saints.
Boondock Saints. Yes.
Okay. What's your favorite food? Your favorite meal?
Favorite meal would have to be lasagna.
Nice.
But see, you know what? That's kind of because my wife makes so many great meals. It's hard to say because we hardly ever go out to eat.
Yep.
Because the simple fact that she is just an awesome cook. So I don't like going out to eat. I'd rather eat her food that she makes because she's an awesome cook. She doesn't think so. She is.
So you say you're not a drinker, but did you ever drink, or would you have a favorite alcoholic beverage if you did drink back in the day, or?
No, I just
No?
hated the taste of alcohol.
What would be your favorite, just regular drink then?
Well, okay, Corona then. Yeah, occasional Corona every once in a while. But my favorite drink probably would be RC Cola, maybe.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Favorite female body part?
Really? Ass and legs. Ass.
Awesome.
What? You know that. That's what favorite female body part.
Well, it's
Ass. Yeah, see my wife. She could answer that for you.
We were expecting. I was sort of expecting an answer like the brain or something. We've had some wild answers for that question. I always to that one.
Just being honest.
Well, the Godfather said titties, so
yeah.
And the last one is your favorite curse word.
Favorite curse word? Oh gosh, you don't want to know that.
Well, we're from Australia. We've heard it all.
Good point.
Oh gosh, probably. I don't know because I use them all equally. It's hard to say. Yeah, it's hard to say because I use them all, equally, equal opportunity for all.
Okay, every curse word is the answer there.
That's a first. That's a first.
Well, Bob, I really want to thank you for your time today. I know we've gone a little bit over time, but really appreciate your time. And before you go on, I want to tell you my quick experience of meeting you and being around you when you wrestled here in Perth a few years back, 2014, I think it was. I remember before you got there, everyone was scared of you. And I was like, I'm going to put my bag right next to Bob because I bet he's not that scary. I bet he's fine. He's in Australia. He's probably enjoying the beaches, enjoying himself. So I put my bag next to yours.
On the beach.
Oh god.
Well, I've still got something to do with an ass to mention, but
okay.
We're sitting together. We're having just a little bit of a chin wag back and forth, just about regular things. Me asking you what you were hoping to do while you're in our country, and there was a girl on the roster, and her name was Pandora. She was also an exotic dancer, so she's quite a good-looking girl. As me and you were talking, she's got her new little shorts that she wears to the ring that she wanted to. She wanted to show off. So she walked up to you as we were talking, and we both stopped our conversation because she was standing in front of you. And she turned around and she said, "Hey Bob, do you like my new shorts?" As she wiggled her butt. Yeah. And as she wiggled her butt, you were looking at her, and then you turned to me and went, "Well, that was good for me."
That's awesome. I remember her asking that question, but I couldn't remember what I said.
That was
That's
good for
right.
me as he looked at me in the eyes.
That's
good.
awesome.
That's good.
That's
So,
an everlasting memory that'll be burned into your brain.
it was the greatest moment I had in Perth professional wrestling, that's for
That's
sure.
awesome. And that was
Oh,
with
God.
me. Thank you.
Well, again, Bob, I want to thank you for your time. Really appreciate it. And I hope, even though all the stop and start pushes that you would get in your time in the big leagues in the WWF and WWE, that you still look back really proud of what you accomplished and what you did in the wrestling business,
Oh,
because
absolutely.
for two guys here in Perth, Western Australia, the most isolated city in the world, we know who you are, we know what you did, and we know that you are definitely a Hall of Famer in our eyes.
Oh, thank
Oh,
you
no
very
doubt.
much.
No
Thank
doubt,
you.
man.
I'm truly humbled by your kind words. Thank you. I can't thank you enough. And thank you for having me on your show. It's been a blast. I've really enjoyed it.
No,
Thank you,
man,
really
Bob.
have.
We
it's
have
been,
to.
Thank you.
it's been
Yep.
awesome, man. Absolute pleasure having you on. I would have never thought in a million years, because I mean, I've been as long as you were in WWE for that entire run. I was growing up as a kid, so I mean,
Yeah.
you know what wrestling is like growing up to you, growing
Oh,
up.
for
So,
sure. Yeah, I know. So
you know,
yeah,
you are to me one of those guys that was sort of someone I was watching a lot when I was growing up. So this has been an awesome night. So thank you very much
Thank
for
you.
your time, Bob.
Yep. It's been an honor talking to you guys. Stay in touch. Please do.
We will, man.
Will
Okay.
do, Bob.
All right. Thank you guys. You have a good day. Okay.
Awesome.
Thank you, Bob.
Thanks a lot, Bob.
Yep. Thank you.
And thank you guys for watching the 55 Live podcast in conjunction with the WZWA Network. I'm Karlifornia alongside Jack with our friend Bob, and we will see you next time. Thank you.